Good afternoon, beekeepers and bee enthusiasts. How you doing? It's another great day at the farm. And we're hanging out. It is early March. It's starting to warm up a little bit. And of course, we know with the warm weather, we're about to get swarm season. Now, if you don't know what swarm season is, it is when honeybees reproduce on a colony level. So basically, a colony of honeybees will split, and anywhere from a third to a half of the colony will go and search for a new home. And they will go and look in all kinds of places. Ideally, they'll go look in trees, but they could live in attics and all kinds of crazy places, but they're looking for just a really good home. Now, if we can replicate what they're looking for and what we call a swarm hive, or as some call it, a swarm trap, if we can replicate what those bees are looking for, then there's a very strong chance that a colony of honeybees will move in and we will have a colony of honeybees for free. Now, this is much different than going and buying a package of bees or a nucleus hive of bees that can run you, usually around $200 whenever you go and buy those. If you go out and you actually catch bees in a swarm hive or a swarm trap, then you are saving a lot of money. And not only that, but the honeybees you catch are much healthier. They're used to your climate, they're used to your area, they're used to your weather, all that good stuff. And they're going to be the best bees you can find. I wouldn't sell a honeybee swarm for anything because they are the best bees you're going to get. So today we're going to show you all kinds of cool things. We're going to show you how to bait a swarm hive, show you how to basically get it set to catch honeybees, and then we're going to go find a tree and we're going to put it in a tree. We're going to level it. We're going to make sure it's good to go. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. And without further ado, let's break right into it. Okay, so we need to find a good place for some honeybees to move in. And of course, we have a really good container right here. And when you're trying to catch honeybee colonies, you want to basically catch them in a container that is about 10 gallons deep. So basically, it can store about 10 gallons of space. That is the space that honeybees are generally looking for if they are trying to move into a new location. Now, there's two options I can recommend to you for this. For one, you can use a Lands swarm hive, which is just like this, and it is about 10 gallons deep. It holds about 7 frames, and basically it's a really good container for catching bees. If you don't want to use a Lands swarm hive, you can use a Langstroth deep, which a Langstroth deep is also about 10 gallons in space, and so you can catch honeybee colonies right in a Langstroth deep, and it'll be good to go. But for our video, we're going to be using the Land swarm hive, and it's something I've used for the past 5 years, and it's worked really well for us, so we really enjoy using it. So let's talk about what we got to do to get this thing baited. And I'm going to try not to spend too much time. I don't want to waste too much time here, but we're going to talk about it and basically go right through it. But basically, what we need on the inside of this box is we need some bait, okay? We need something that smells like a honeybee hive, okay? Because what honeybees do is a lot of times when they're searching for new homes, they will actually move into old trees that contain comb where honeybees used to live, and they will basically take up the space. And so if we can get a container that smells like a honeybee hive, then the honeybees are a lot more likely to move in, and it works out a lot better that way. So first off, one thing we can talk about, we can use for bait, and forgive me if you can't really see this very well, but propolis is what you want to get. So if you don't know what propolis is, it is tree resin that honeybees collect to seal cracks inside of their hive. So they will basically get tree resin, and they use it to seal cracks and stuff inside of their hives, and it has a very distinct smell to it, and it smells really good. But I have a few bits of dried propolis right here, and if you want to know where to get this, you can actually get it from horizontalhive.com, from Dr. Leo's website, and he has propolis for sale there. And you can get you some propolis, and basically take you some hardened propolis, and you rub it on the inside of the hive just like this. And you basically give it a good propolis rub down. And it's good to do this because it makes it smell like a beehive, because all beehives have propolis. And if you already have beehives, you can collect some propolis off of your boards or whatever in your hives, and basically you can use that to bait your swarm hives. So I'm just giving it a quick rub down. You can spend a little bit more time on it if you want, but this is pretty sufficient. And the more the better. The more propolis you get in there, the better. If it smells like a beehive, then bees are going to want to live there. So you get some propolis. And that's pretty much good to go for that. And then, yeah, that propolis has a really good smell to it, and bees tend to really like it. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is another kind of bait that we use that is a very strong lure for honeybees, and honeybees tend to like it, and that is, of course, lemongrass essential oil. Now, if you don't know what lemongrass essential oil is just that it's an oil, but it has a scent to it that honeybees relate to new homes for moving into new homes, basically. So if we could take some lemongrass essential oil and we could put just a little bit on the inside of this hive, then it'll smell like a beehive, and bees will be like, wow, this is the place to be. This is a good attractant, and this is something that we know that they're going to really enjoy. So there's a few different ways you can go about this. If, like I said about the propolis, you can go to horizontalhive.com and get lemongrass essential oil. And there, Dr. Leo, he'll give you the lemongrass essential oil, but he'll also give you slow release tubes that you can basically put on the inside of the swarm hive, and it'll slowly release the lemongrass essential oil. But if you don't have the slow release tubes, I'm going to show you a real easy way. And that is, very simply, you take a paper towel. So we open this up. You take you a Ziploc bag just like that. And I'm going to take this lemongrass essential oil out real quick. It smells really good. It smells really good. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of lemongrass essential oil on this, but what I have to really express that you cannot put too much of this stuff on it. If it's too much, it'll push the bees away. So really, you just want a very small amount, just a little bit, not too much. You put it on that paper towel. I don't know if you could see that, but that's about how much I put. Wasn't too much. Put it on the inside of your Ziploc bag. Close up the Ziploc bag, and then what I generally do is I'll poke just a very small hole in the Ziploc bag, so it's like a slow release. And then basically you take that Ziploc bag with the paper towel and lemongrass essential oil, and you just lay it flat on the bottom of your swarm hive. Simple as that. And the bees will really like it. They'll smell it, and they'll have a much stronger chance of wanting to move in. I've used that Ziploc bag trick for quite a while, but if you got the slow release tubes and use those too, I mean, those are nice. So that goes to lemongrass essential oil. And then the final thing we want to look for is, if you have this, is of course a piece of comb. Now, comb is really good to have on the inside of a swarm hive because, like I said, when bees want to move into a new home, if there's already real estate on the inside of the home, then they're a lot more likely to move in. So comb is good, and I'll show you a piece here in a second, but comb is good. If you don't have any comb, then don't worry about it. What you basically can do is, for your frames, is you take just an inch strip of wax, just like this, and basically put it on there. And then you can do this for all your frames. Just use the wax if you don't have any comb. But basically put that in there and then put them on your frames, and then you'll be good to go. You don't have to be crazy about it. You know, the comb does help, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it. But I'm going to show you a piece of comb that we have here. So I'm going to put my frames in, and you've got all your frames. Of course, you know, frames are important because the frames allow us, when we catch the honeybees, to basically pull them out and basically move them to a new location. So, and that's when we catch them in the swarm hive and we want to move them to a main hive, a big hive. We'll basically be able to do that. So put these in here. And then right here, I've got a nice frame of comb. It's a little old. It's got a little junk on it, but it's not a big deal. The bees, if there's any kind of stuff on there, the bees will clean it off when they move in. But a nice piece of comb like this will go a long way. And basically, they'll see this and they'll say, wow, there's already real estate in here. We should move in. So if you can get you a piece of comb, it definitely helps. And that's basically about it. Take your top, put it on. I'll take 2 screws, one on each side, and basically screw in the top like this. This will keep the top sealed. Good. So now, this swarm hive is sealed, it's good to go, it's ready to catch some bees. It really is as simple as that as far as baiting a hive. Now let's go find us a tree to put it in. We're going to show you how to level it and get it good to go, and then this swarm hive will be all set. Okay, so we got our baited swarm hive ready to go. We just need to find a good location for this. Now, to keep it simply, a tree is the best spot you're going to find, okay? Trees are good. Honeybees relate homes to trees because naturally that's where they tend to stay in, is trees. So really a tree is the best place you can put a swarm hive, but you can put them in a lot of different locations. But trees are the best way to go, and we found all of our success by putting them in trees. Now, when we first started catching swarms, we actually would put our swarm hive up about 10 feet up in the air, which is optimal. That is actually the best location you can catch bees. It's about 10 to 15 feet up in the air. But we started catching bees at ground level a few years ago. And once we started doing that, then we never went back to putting them high up in a tree. So now all the bees we catch, we put the swarm hives at ground level, and it just makes for getting them on and off a lot easier. What you got to realize is this swarm hive, when it has a colony of bees in there and they start building a little bit of honey on the frames and whatnot, it's going to be pretty heavy, right? So it's a lot of work to climb up really high or use a ladder or any of that to go get it. It's a lot easier to put them at ground level, and that's what we do now. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to take our swarm hive that we just baited. Basically what I use is a ratchet strap, and this is an older ratchet strap, but it's still okay. And basically I'm going to put the ratchet strap around the tree. I'm going to fasten around the swarm hive and secure it to the tree that way. And then what we'll do is we'll level the swarm hive and make sure it's level. I cannot stress enough how important it is that your swarm hive is level, because if it's not, then when bees are building comb on the inside, they will build in accordance to gravity, and then you can get cross comb, and that makes taking the comb out of the swarm hive and moving it extremely difficult. So you want to make sure these are as level as they can be, get them really level, and it's a lot better that way. So let's go ahead and get this thing up there. And if you didn't know, tree lines are the best location. You know, you can go deep in the woods if you want, but really the best place for bees to find a new home is on tree lines. They tend to like tree lines a lot better because they've got access to flowers and all that good stuff. So if you can get you a nice tree line with some trees on the edge of it, then that's like the best place to find some bees. And that's where we always catch our bees, is on tree lines. And we're kind of on the edge of a tree line out here. And so that's pretty good to go. I'm going to put this right here. And it's kind of an art. You get used to doing it after a while. It takes some practice the first time. Okay. Get it nice and tight. And then what we'll do, make sure that's secure, is we'll check our level. And again, getting these level is super important so you don't get cross-comb when the bees move in. So you want to make sure they're as level as can be. And what I do is I don't tighten it all the way. I kind of get it tight. And then I make sure it's level. And then once it's level, I get it even tighter. Let's see how that is. That's pretty good. Then we can tie it down good now. Double check just to make sure. Good, that's perfect. Now I'll secure my strap. Make sure it's nice and neat. You gotta make it look like a good home, you know what I mean? That way the bees are more likely to move in. That's good to go. Let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. Should be good. That'll be a good home. And again, make sure it's level. Whenever you're putting these things up, make sure they're good and level. And then once they're level, make sure you got it nice and tight so it doesn't go anywhere. And yeah, this should be a good home for some bees. And then basically, we're just waiting for them to move in. Now, it's not swarm season yet, but I can't stress enough, whenever you're trying to catch honeybees, you need to be ready way before swarm season. Don't wait until swarm season is beginning to get your swarm hives out, because it'll happen, it'll come and go just like that. So you want to make sure you've got your swarm hives out before the swarm season begins. You got them baited, good to go. And then basically you'll wait, and then if you see a bunch of activity coming and going and not stopping, like constant traffic, that means you got a colony of honeybees. Now if you see a few bees here and there, those are scouts, all right? If it's just a few bees, those are scout honeybees and they're looking for new homes, and that's a good sign that you could have a colony move in, right? But if you see constant traffic of honeybees coming and going and not stopping, then you got a colony of honeybees. You've caught a nice swarm, and it's absolutely free. It didn't cost you anything, and you're good to go. And it really is as simple as that. So that about wraps up our video. Again, catching honeybees is really simple. It's not too much work, and it is a lot of fun. Whenever you say that you've actually caught a honeybee colony, it's like catching a fish times 10. Like it's really nice. So we really enjoy it, and we know you're going to enjoy it too. Go out there and catch a honeybee colony and let us know in the comments how you did. Until next time, we'll see you soon.